blind beggar man. His prayers grew smaller. Let me keep one eye, at least. One eye intact. And they increased again without him noticing. Let the boy live. But should he really leave him to shake so? He had felt his own teeth drumming against one another when the shivering had consumed him a day ago. He worried he would bite through his own tongue. He paused, realizing that was not quite true. He had given no thought to his tongue when the fever rattled through him, only afterwards, when the heat had broken and he lay spent on the ground, did he wonder how he had not injured himself. When the shakes came upon his wife, he had wrapped her up, and she had wrapped up their daughter. But neither had survived. He had placed all the blankets around them, so there was nothing left by the time he fell foul of the same cruel dance. Yet he was, so far, still alive. And so perhaps this was something he had learned about the reckoning. It thrived in the heat. It might be driven out if it was denied warmth. The boy moaned so softly that he wondered if he was hearing things. But he did not approach him, and he did not make him warm. The archer would take who he chose, but still, the man hoped, a tiny broken thing like a bird, that he would seek his prey elsewhere. Chapter 1. 60 years later. I didn't hear him coming. I was in the ice store, which lay at the furthest end of a forgotten corridor in a corner of the palace no one had used for years, not since my parents were alive. My father loved ice, shaved with an iron pick from a block which dripped sullenly in this room, the thick walls protecting it from the constant sun which beat down on the white stone. How did it get here? I used to beg. Where did it come from? He would tell me a different answer each time. An angry river god had turned all the city's water into ice one day, and no one had ever found time to defrost this last chunk. It was an egg left behind by a huge frozen bird. Then, it was Thebes' greatest treasure, and bandits had sailed across the oceans to invade the palace and seize it like the Golden Fleece. This last story left me with nightmares of masked men breaching one of the city's 7 gates, climbing to the high citadel, fearless as they ran beneath the mountain lions which were carved into the stone gateway, golden stones embedded into their eye sockets to ward off our enemies, trampling along the colonnades and rampaging into the courtyard where we lived. My mother told him to stop frightening me. So the next time I asked him, he made me promise solemnly that I wouldn't tell her before explaining that he had won it in a bet with a titan who now cursed his name. I shouldn't be afraid of him, though, because he was fully occupied holding the weight of the sky upon his shoulders. After my parents died, my uncle Creon had the palace extended and rebuilt. It needed to be more secure, he said, and grander. He added rooms and whole levels above the ground floor, so my home towered above every building in the city. The palace sat on the highest hill, and now it was the highest building too. Creon also insisted that the royal residence should no longer be kept ever open to the city and her citizens, as my mother had liked it. There must be a space between us and them. We needed doors which could be bolted shut each night. Lessons had to be learned. And while all these works were being carried out by teams of efficient and almost silent slaves, he decided this corridor might as well be abandoned. He didn't care for ice, the way my father did. So once the building works were completed, this room was no longer used for anything. It was too far from the new kitchens to be practical. But it made a perfect place to read on a bristling hot day. The light spilled in from 2 small slits high up on the north and east-facing walls, and with the door open onto the half-walled corridor outside, I could easily see to read the parchment roll I had taken from my tutor's office yesterday. I would return it as soon as I'd finished, like I always did. He didn't mind, so long as I placed it back on his dusty shelves in the exact spot from which I had removed it. I had learned to blow the dust across from either side to cover the tracks my fingers left on the wood. His eyes weren't as sharp as they used to be. The manuscript would be back in its place before he even noticed it was gone. I often lost track of time in this room.